Imagine one of the most powerful ships in the world, built with thousands of tons of steel, equipped with modern technology, and carrying billions of dollars worth of cargo across the vast ocean. Everything was normal, but within just a few hours, the situation changed in a way that no one could have imagined. Raging waves, a fierce storm, an emergency distress signal. Then, suddenly, silence. What happened that night? Why did such a massive ship become so helpless before the sea? And what lesson did that horrific disaster teach the entire world? In today's documentary, we will learn the true story of one of the most tragic maritime disasters in history, where every minute was a battle between life and death. The massive ship I mentioned in the hook is named the MV Amoco Cadiz. Built in 1975, this supertanker was one of the largest oil tankers of its time. It had the capacity to carry over 200,000 tons of crude oil in a single voyage. In March 1978, the ship was en route from the Middle East to Europe. Everything was normal. The weather forecast showed no signs of major danger, and the experienced captain and crew were performing their regular duties. But little did anyone know that a disaster was waiting ahead, one that would change not only this ship, but also the course of maritime history forever. The ship was sailing towards Europe. For the first few days, the journey was perfectly normal. Despite the massive waves, the experienced captain and crew believed it was just the usual state of the sea. However, a major problem arose suddenly as they neared the coast of France. The ship's steering system unexpectedly failed, meaning the captain could no longer properly control the vessel. The massive tanker began to drift slowly toward the rocky coastline, pushed by powerful winds and turbulent waves. The crew repeatedly tried to regain control and called for emergency assistance from nearby tugboats. But the sea conditions were so severe that time was running out rapidly. No one could have imagined what lay ahead. After the steering system failed, the ship's captain immediately sent out an emergency signal. A nearby tugboat rushed to assist, and efforts began to tow the massive tanker towards safety using a tow line. But nature had other plans. Driven by fierce winds and massive waves, the tow line was subjected to extreme tension, snapping repeatedly. With every passing minute, the vessel drifted closer to the rocky coastline. The officers on the bridge realized they were running out of time. If the tanker could not be turned around quickly, the massive ship, carrying hundreds of thousands of tons of oil, would crash directly into the rocks. With the roar of the ocean, the desperate efforts of the crew, and the rapidly fading time, the situation was spiraling out of control. Then came that dreadful moment. On March 16, 1978, the uncontrollable MV Amoco Cadiz slammed violently into the rocky coastline off the coast of France. The impact severely damaged the hull of the vessel. Relentless waves battered the ship one after another. Within a short time, large cracks appeared on the hull, and hundreds of thousands of tons of crude oil began to leak, slowly at first, then rapidly into the sea. The ship, which had been sailing normally just hours before, was now transformed into a massive vessel of oil. The seawater began to turn black, and a colossal wave of pollution started spreading toward the French coast. Efforts were made to evacuate the crew safely. While the loss of life was kept to a minimum, the disaster was catastrophic for the environment. Within a short period, it became one of the largest oil spills in history. However, investigations later revealed that the storm was not the only cause of this disaster.
After the accident, a massive amount of crude oil spread across the long coastline of France. Beaches were covered in black oil, and thousands of seabirds, fish, and other marine life were devastated. It took months to complete the cleanup efforts. Following this incident, the international maritime industry learned a major lesson. Regulations regarding tanker safety, emergency response plans, and maritime navigation in high-risk coastal areas were made significantly stricter. Greater emphasis was also placed on detecting mechanical failures and ensuring regular maintenance. To this day, the MV Amoco Cadiz disaster is seen not merely as a shipwreck, but as a cautionary tale, demonstrating how a small technical issue, when combined with adverse weather conditions, can escalate into a massive environmental catastrophe. However, there is one final chapter of this story yet to be told.
Even decades after the accident, the name of the MV Amoco Cadiz is uttered as a warning in maritime history. This disaster reminds us that no matter how beautiful and calm the sea may seem, its power should never be taken lightly. Even with modern technology, skilled sailors, and huge ships, a single mechanical error and adverse weather can give birth to one of history's greatest environmental disasters. After this event, the safety measures for oil tankers, emergency rescue plans, and environmental protection rules worldwide were improved. Many experts believe this accident had a significant impact on future maritime safety policies. But such harrowing stories of the sea do not end here. There are still many more mysterious ships, unsolved accidents, and stories of incredible rescue missions hidden in the pages of history. If you want to know those real stories, stay with us, because in the next episode, we will present another unbelievable true story of the sea, which still surprises people today.